President Donald Trump says that many countries are preparing to send warships to keep the Strait of Hormuz open, amid rising tensions in the Middle East. The corridor between Iran and Oman is vital for global energy security, transporting a large portion of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas. Trump's statements come amid growing concerns that regional conflicts could threaten international shipping and energy supplies. According to American officials, allied nations are considering coordinated naval patrols to ensure the safe passage of commercial ships through this strategic route. The Strait of Hormuz has long been a flashpoint during periods of regional conflict, and any disruption can have major consequences for global markets, fuel prices, and international security. Trump emphasized that maintaining freedom of navigation is a shared responsibility among global partners, and he warned that the international community would act to prevent any blockade of the waterway. The comments signal increasing international coordination, as governments closely monitor developments in the Gulf and assess the risks to maritime trade and regional stability.
There on the right side of your screen, you are seeing the Zesayura Embassy in Baghdad in live images from earlier today. Take a look. A new video shows smoke and flames coming from the embassy in the Iraqi capital, Baghdad, after Iraqi officials said the compound was hit by a missile earlier today. Now, information is still quite limited at this moment, and it's still unclear if there are any injuries. But authorities in Iraq say it appears the missile hit a helipad inside the compound. The embassy of Zesayura in Baghdad renewed its Level 4 security warning yesterday, alerting that Iran could carry out attacks against Zesayura citizens and infrastructure inside Iraq. Again, you can see the smoke rising in the background in this video provided just a short while ago. But this is a live image right now, outside the embassy of the former Existence complex. Meanwhile, I want to show another video that's coming in from CENTCOM. Take a look here on your screen. While the Kuntur Cell's Central Command releases a video showing what they call a large-scale precision strike on Iran's Karg Island, you can see many explosions there on your screen. CENTCOM explained that the strike destroyed naval mine depots, missile storage bunkers, and several other military sites, with the Pentagon adding that Zephyram and Cyprus-Sail forces hit more than 90 Iranian military targets on Karg Island, preserving the infrastructure. President Trump said he ordered this major strike, which was then carried out by the Esquiwaga military. As always, there's a lot to discuss. I want to call Mark Chandler, Director of Institutional Relations at Coastal Carolina University, Professor of Practice, and former Senior Defense Intelligence Officer. Mark, thank you very much for taking the time to be here with us today.
You're welcome, Josh, and good morning.
Good morning. Well, first, on the left side of your screen, we see live Baghdad outside the Esquiwara Embassy complex. As we see that missile hit what appears to be the helipad, what does this say about Iran, its nuclear capabilities, or in fact just about its military capabilities at this moment?
Well, I think, first of all, Josh, we need to realize that Iran has really taken the gloves off. I mean, all diplomatic facilities are under attack. They've already attacked in Riyadh and also in the United Arab Emirates. They will continue with these attacks on easy targets, since there aren't major defenses against ballistic missiles or drones around these locations. So that's one point. Iran will continue with this. They're not going to back down from it, even if they reduce it. The second thing is that we need to assess the accuracy of this. First, they need good internal intelligence. We know there are operatives and Shia militias backed by Iran all over Iraq. In fact, these same Shia militias have carried out attacks against some of our forces that are spread throughout Iraq. So, we know they have good technical knowledge to program the target of a ballistic missile. The embassy is not hidden, but they need to get that final and precise information for a drone or missile attack. Now, they probably have observers working nearby. I know they've used some Shiite observers called sleeper cells. They have been operating in Arab countries in the Middle East for years. They will observe American facilities, whether diplomatic, bases, military, and that's where they will try to escalate. Even residential areas where Americans are concentrated in certain regions, in some Arab states, so it's still a dangerous environment. As I said, there are no reports of injuries. I know they are on high alert. In Baghdad, we evacuated the embassy in Kuwait City. So, I would expect these attacks to be more precise against the facilities in that region, since we are still in the early stages of this conflict.
And I want to show this on your screen. Now you can see the video coming from CENTCOM and you can almost hear it in the background. But there are these attacks happening right now. Last night, we heard from President Trump about this large-scale precision attack. According to him, on Karg Island, for the people who are watching, can you explain what Karg Island is and the importance of this attack?
Well, there are a few things I would like to highlight. First, this was an excellent military operation, using precision-guided munitions to hit only the military targets on Karg Island. You know, Karg Island is possibly the most critical energy point for Iran to export its oil. 90% of the oil exported by Iran passes through Karg Island. It is located at sea, and they transport the oil by pipeline. Up to there, they dug deep areas for large draft oil tankers, making it their main oil port. By attacking military targets, Iran militarized several islands in the Persian Gulf, including Karg, for defensive purposes and to prevent attacks. But nothing as sophisticated as our attack. By keeping the infrastructure intact, we're saying first that we're going to attack you militarily, and second, we know this matters for Iran's future. I choose my words carefully, Josh, when I say Iran's future, not the regime, because the country has vast natural resources. It can be a great nation, an economic engine for the Middle East and the world, but not under the Islamic regime. That's the difference. They target that, and it sends a message. We can rule out those military targets. We could also cripple their economy for, years, if not decades, if we destroyed the Karg Island itself. And I mentioned one thing I just want to add. They militarized that island. They reinforced security. They militarized Bamuza and the Siri Islands in the southern Persian Gulf. We need to worry about taking care of them while we keep an eye on commercial shipping and oil tankers that pass through there. So it wouldn't be a surprise to see attacks on those islands in the coming days.
And I want to show this on your screen. I know you've already seen this, right? Just like many people out there have also seen it. We know that we haven't seen the new supreme leader of Iran in public. And one of the photos released of him, according to those who investigated, seems to have been made with AI. So there are a lot of questions here. And in moments of conflict like this, how important is it for a country's leader to be visible? And what message does that send? Because, I repeat, he hasn't been seen in public. We heard that message from him the other day, but he wasn't in front of the cameras and it wasn't him speaking.
All right, Josh, first of all, you hit the nail on the head. I think it's essential for a nation in crisis to have its leaders step up and show strength, leading by example and with confidence. We don't see that from Ali Khamenei. So some reasons that I'm going to speculate here, obviously, without being there, I don't know for sure. But he was seriously injured in the attack that killed his father and his family. That's why we're considering this. Iran probably doesn't want to show him on TV, because now, after choosing him, they should have put him in the spotlight, put him in a meeting, showing him exercising leadership, showing him in command and speaking. So either he is incapacitated to the point that he can't, or he is so injured that by showing him on TV or in current photos, that would destroy the confidence, not of the Iranian people, but of that central leadership and the Revolutionary Guard. They can't afford to show a weakened supreme leader, so to speak. So that is actually revealing. But they're going to keep up this AI. They're going to keep showing old photos of him, totally healthy, but you haven't heard him or seen him. And that sends a message to those who look a little beyond the surface of this.
And that definitely sends a clear message. I wanted to show you this. It was yesterday at the press conference he held alongside General Dan Razing Khan. All of this happened during Operation Epic Fury, which, by the way, today marks 2 weeks since the first attacks by Zah, Erueh, and Israel on Iran. Now, I'd like to talk with you a bit while we take a live look outside the White House. According to information provided by an IRA official to the Associated Press, about 2,500 Marines and an amphibious assault ship are being deployed right now to the Middle East, increasing the kind of military reinforcement we're seeing in the region. What message is this sending now?
Well, first of all, I think this is important. The Marines are special to me. This is Trista, my first one based in Okinawa, Japan. So, they are getting ready to board the ships. That should take about 10 days of sailing. And we're sending the message that we're still standing firm in this fight. The Marines are very special. We send a strong message by highlighting them as the main combat force. They bring a variety of capabilities. We fight through the MAGTFs, the Marine Air Ground Task Force. So the Marines will bring fighter bomber aircraft, helicopters, a full infantry battalion, logistics, and also command and control. So, when they arrive with 3 ships, we'll be embarked on what we call the amphibious group. Ready, they'll get there, and we organize the tasks as needed. For those militarized islands in the southern Persian Gulf or Karg Island, if we need a limited takeover, the Marines are the perfect force. We're going to reinforce the firepower. We can help with the logistics being done there. We're preparing for the future. I'm not saying we're going to use the Marines, but it's great to have them ready to operate there. This brings us a variety of capabilities and reinforces the message that we're involved in this. It's a clear signal that Iran will notice, especially in coastal areas or small islands. As I said,
How fundamental, how important is the message at this moment, especially between Ziwa and Iran, whatever each side is communicating? How important is this to determine the next steps and where things go from here?
well, I think it's fundamental, Josh, and there are a few things. So, on Iran's part, they will continue with their belligerent stance. They will keep threatening Arab nations, threatening the United States, and threatening Israel. So, they will keep doing that. They'll work with their Hezbollah partners over in Lebanon, and they'll keep showing strength. Still, I believe we are just a few weeks away from the regime reaching the point of capitulation. Therefore, they will keep showing strength. Mainly, the reason they are going to show strength is for an internal message. I think the world should now realize that Iran is full of bluster, even though it has retaliated strongly. They control through authoritarianism, so they need this internal message, and that's their main audience. For the United States, we need a consistent message. We got into this, we're in it, whether you agreed or not, before we got involved. Now we're involved and we need to finish this. So our message needs to focus on why we're doing this, on what we need to eliminate from the Islamic Republic, not from the Iranian people. So show support for this and keep methodically dismantling Iran's military machine, creating an opportunity for an uprising to form. You know, there are still a few weeks left before this rift fully forms and opens up this opportunity. That's why we need to keep this message consistent and show strength. The world faces many economic challenges. I can say that at any time in the last 20 years when we planned this operation, we always knew that Iran would use its economic power against us, but actually against the world, to try to pressure the United States. So we need to understand that war is not a good thing. It's uncomfortable. It creates problems, second and third order side effects, but it's temporary, and temporary will mean a few more weeks. But that's the kind of message we need to show in the United States and with our Western allies. We need them to also, reinforce this same message as we move forward.
And Mark Chandler, I always bring you here and ask my last question. What did we miss and what would you like to add before I let you go?
And Josh, we could spend the whole show talking about this. It's very difficult and challenging. There's a lot of talk out there. Let me just say we lost a flight crew. This week, a KC-135 crashed and 6 more American service members lost their lives, supporting our military objectives. And we just ask that everyone keep them in their prayers as well as their families. And the second thing, you just talked about communication. And I think it's important that we don't give in to the pressure that war sometimes brings to end this too soon. We are in this fight. We made this commitment. Now it's our responsibility, and we need to reach a successful conclusion. And that means eliminating all of their nuclear weapons capability. They still have that somehow, in some way. It's still active there, so we need to deal with it. Their offensive missile and drone capability needs to be eliminated. And then what are they doing with the whole Middle East? I've talked before about closing the Strait of Hormuz. If we don't put an end to this Islamic regime, it's going to happen again. So we're 3 to 6 weeks away. I know I said that last week. Now I'll add another week and say we still have that much time. Because if we end this prematurely, because of the pressure we feel, we have to have the willpower to see this through to the end. And I just ask that Americans support this, that our Western allies support it, because otherwise we'll leave behind a strengthened regime, which will certainly boast about the victory and will be more problematic and cause more trouble for future generations.
All right, Mark Chandler, thank you very much, as always, for joining us and helping to clarify everything.
Josh, it was nothing. Thank you very much.